everybody out there. I am so excited to be back with you, particularly if you're a woman, because if you're a woman, you are bold, brave, and brilliant, whether you believe it at this moment or not. And we are going to talk to different women at different times and find out so much more about the real amazing things and insights and happenings that women have pulled off, whether they get recognized or not. And of course, we will recognize them, at least through having them as guests and talking. Tonight, I have with me an amazing woman who has done unbelievable things over part of her lifetime, and I hope she still has a big part left. And that's Doreen Lapperton Addison. And we are going to talk about some of the issues that go with being a woman. I'm wondering, Doreen, can we talk a little bit about some of the expectations that you may have felt growing up in your family with relatives, or maybe just going to school? Because I have found, and of course, you've read and helped me even with my book, The Enchanted Self, a Positive Therapy. I have found that the ways that kids and particularly girls are handled in their home life really does have bearing on their creative and wonderful skills later. So could I risk asking you to dab into your life a little bit?
Well, first, thank you, Barbara, for having me on your show. Always wonderful to chat with you. And through the years, as you mentioned, we've been through a lot. And so, in answer to your question, I don't think there are any deliberate expectations like you will do this or you will do that. But I think the undercurrent of expectations for young girls, young women, were there. Uh, I can't say for sure, other than my parents, their philosophy was to let me be and I'll find my way as to what I want to do. With that said, they probably expected that I'd go to college and that I'd marry and have children and do my best in school and whatever I chose to do.
I think you were somewhat blessed because uh, that's a pretty good sketch, of a pretty normal family, giving you quite a bit of room to come into your own. I don't feel I had quite as much room as you're talking about for various reasons, but even I was more concerned with watching some of my relatives that never got a chance because their parents were perhaps from the old country in those days or had certain beliefs that didn't quite fit a child. My second question to you, Doreen, is how did you go about defining and developing your talents? Obviously, most of us can't develop everything. What were some of the things you developed and how did you push them out there?
I don't think I was given any particular direction during my childhood as to what my talents were or even noticed if I had shown any talents at all in particular. But I did love to move and I loved to dance. And my family, they loved to dance also. I remember going to see my father's grand, not his grandparents, my grandparents on my father's side. And we'd sit in the living room, my aunts and my cousins, and they would start singing these Yiddish songs. And then they'd encourage my grandparents to get up and dance. And they would get up and dance, and my parents would, and my aunts and uncles would be singing. And so there was quite a lot of joy in that. My mother's parents, although they didn't dance outwardly like that, but I remember as a teenager, my grandmother would always give me some money so I can go to the teen dances, and that was always fond memories. I do remember watching actually old films of myself, is that I was always moving, so it wasn't one to sit still. I do remember also when I went to those teen dances, now maybe I was 14, 15, that I would be dancing, but I particularly loved watching other people dance and imitating their movements. So I'd be dancing and then I'd see somebody and I say, oh, that's interesting. And I would watch them and then sort of try to feel what they were doing. And I would do that often. And I think that was probably the start of really watching people and really getting into how they move.
That is so fascinating. And you really, I've known you many years, and I know the dance just never leaves you or your body. And,
No,
you
no.
know, and I loved to dance myself when I was 5, 6, 7, particularly when I got tap shoes. I'd go in the dining room, which was the only room in the house where you could get that clicking sound, and I'd go mad by myself. But my parents were totally disinterested. I wanted also to play the piano. They got an old piano, but they never tuned it. Dancing I was allowed to do, but because I wasn't talented, it wasn't my natural base, which was really reading and watching people sort of together. Um, I never had a lot of satisfaction as a young dancer. So it didn't become a major source of who I am as I grew up. It's a minor source, and which is good. I feel now, after many years have passed, and I'm technically a senior for sure, that all those ballet dance classes for years and years and years have influenced my body, and if you see people elderly, very often they have bodies that are not influenced, So I'm happy that I got that far. What do you want to still work on or do or discover or put together about your talents?
I'm a very curious person who loves to move and explore. And I am always learning. And I have many, many interests. So, movement being primary interest, but all my interests, whether I'm right, I have a horse, and whether I want to be with my horse, but I'm watching my horse move, and I do continue my studies. So I currently have been studying actually and learning from several people. Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen, she's the originator of body mind centering, and I've been exploring with her since 2020. Uh, During COVID, one of the fortunate events of COVID was that she went online, and so I've been working with her, my yoga teacher, Roxlyn Moray, and I do practice wisdom healing Qigong with Master Ming Tung Gu. These are primary sources for me of continued education and learning. Plus, I'm just always exploring my own body, my own how I move, how I feel, and I really believe that the injuries and different health challenges I've had through the years have enabled me to explore even deeper. While they were not wanted in particular, but because I had these challenges, I was able to move deeper into how the body is. And so, what I want to continue is I've developed a workshop. I've developed many workshops through the years. And of course, you and I together have worked the Enchanted Self workshop. And, and so I want to keep doing that at this time in my life. I want to keep exploring and sharing.
That's so beautiful. And it's wonderful because it can go on forever. It's always the next day, the next hour, the next person that it's going to come into your life. It's just a flow that you have been able to develop, and now you have the joy of being in the rowboat with it whenever you want. It's great. How important is the girl that you were to you today in terms of who you are and who you reach inside of yourself for? And this is something that obviously you probably are already realize is something big for me that I do a lot of thinking about. But you're first.
Okay. For a while, I probably ignored the little girl inside of me. I don't even say little girl, but the younger versions, and there's many versions as we grow and develop. Uh, and now I have more communication with that self. That if I go to my authentic self houses or is all of these uh, little girls, younger versions of myself, and the continuing thread of what enabled me to become who I am today. And it's that joyfulness, playfulness, the wondering. I think that's a big one. The wondering, WONDER. Could be a little wandering too, but the wonderment and the awe that I see around me, and that innocence of the younger versions of myself, just looking and curious and wonder if I'm looking at clouds, or I spent a lot of time at the ocean, watching the waves and nature. Nature has always been a big part of who I am and how I relate to the world, and just seeing how I am. And so now I try to delve more into that, being really that younger version, the one that likes to play, the one that likes to move, the one that likes to create, and honoring more of the creative aspect of myself. Because in my younger years, I never was steered in that direction, my creative, artistic self. And and that's something I had to develop myself. I had to learn myself, whether it was doing visual work or sculpting or even choreography. It wasn't like taught to me. So I've learned it, from being curious, and I've learned it from learning from others, and realizing that what I do is just as good as anybody else's, or good, bad, but it's my path, my journey, and being
Mhm.
secure in that.
Well, I'm very, very fascinated with the little girl inside of us because I really feel that when we can tap her again, I need you, or look at this, that we really can pull ourselves together again. And being a woman is very often discouraging. Either the baby's crying, or, or there's not enough money, or you had a fight, or you didn't get the position. Yes, it's, of course, there's other good things also, but I feel like women are often just struggling to hold on to the next branch, but oftentimes they forget to look back into the energy. There's like a ball of fire in us somewhere, and if you can get back to it, because when you were 9, you figured out how to open the freezer when the food was spoiling. I'm just making, when you were 10, you knew how to put out the fire in the basement. Whatever it is, there's all these miracles and things that we, all of us women, have done in one way or another. We got the kid to the hospital in time, and the fever was dangerous. There's always stuff. And yet, we're the first ones to say, oh, it was nothing. It was nothing. Oh, no big deal. So I'm really thinking a lot about this, and I want to dedicate some of my future to once again really helping women with the ball of energy, the fire, what they really have. What advice do you want to pass on, Doreen?
What I would like to share with others, well, particularly as you're growing up and even now at any age, is that your body is sacred. Your body is your home, as my Qigong teacher always says. Your body is your home. Home is your body. There's no other place to go or be. So to honor it, and to be aware of it. And from there, great things could happen. To be also to be as authentic as you can be and be true to yourself and do whatever gives you meaning and joy. And don't be swayed. We may have turbulence, but don't lose it. Let it come out in ways, whatever ways. Sometimes it'll be big wave, sometimes smaller, but don't lose yourself in all the tumult.
I think that's beautiful advice. And I feel very much the same as what you're saying. There's only one thing that I think, probably be stronger about than you were, but because we're different, obviously. I think the brain, as much as the body, can help in restoring ourselves. That if we can get past the misery or the mistakes that people made, many of them innocent. My mother was told by her favorite uncle, "You're dumb but beautiful." He thought he was being nice. Not everyone is cruel, but sometimes things said are cruel. And by the way, my mother, who I still miss every day, is you probably miss yours. She went to college and got a master's degree. So she caught up with herself. But I think many parts of our bodies and our minds and who we take our time to relate to or get to know all can help us get back on our horse. You've got the horse, I don't have a horse,
That's the
but
word.
back on the space that is ours. We're entitled to this space. I'm very happy you came tonight, and you're my first guest on my new show, which is really all about celebrating and helping women to get where they should be, particularly those who are born in certain years, because the boomers did so much in life and they didn't always get recognized at all. So I'm giving them a special push at times. But okay, how can people reach you if they want to?
Well, they can reach me through my website. It's Better Health Through, that's spelled THROUGH, movement at gmail.com. I think that would be the best
Yeah.
way.
Okay. Well, I look forward because I'm lucky enough to see you in person.
Yes.
And you did a wonderful job explaining a lot of this stuff. And Thank you for being on, and now you can get back to your three cats and your granddaughter and God knows what else. Okay.
Thank you for having me, Barbara. As always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.